Do we have your attention? Yes? Good. Okay. This is the big day. Thank you. Are you enjoying yourself? Good. Glad to hear it. Okay. This is a rocking crowd. I'm really, really pleased that all the hard work and effort that these guys, the organisers, myself, Jason, Jane, Brendan, Matt, and someone else, don't let me think, I've had a bit to drink, and put it all together. And you are the result of it all. You're enjoying yourself as the result of us, and we're really happy, okay? Just buy us drinks and pay us later, okay? That's all, alright? Now, I'm just Bruce Muttard, in case you don't know me.
Hey, Bruce Muttard!
Good on you, thank you. What the fuck was that? Come to me later on, darling. I'll talk to you later. Okay. Now, I'm just going to be doing a brief intro and I'll do a little exit, outro at the other end of it. But the main part of this little official part, and so far as anything can be official in comics, which is very little, is to introduce the man in the white suit. Okay? Which you all know and love as Bernard Caleo.
Thank you, Bruce Muttard. I got my notes.
Your speech.
Woo! Your speech? Really? Thanks for writing me that that license. Welcome today, this afternoon, to Sentido Fünf, which used to be Yeltsa and will soon be the Fitzroy Beer Garden. And in this change of names, and this sort of there's archaeological layering going on, we get a bit of a hint of what's coming out of today, and that is this sense of continuity through time. You are here, I am here. There is a larger number of cartoonists gathered here than is recommended in any of the urban planning strategies or documents issued by the City of Yarra. And most importantly, your asses, my ass, and all the cartoonists' asses are here today for, and now, I'm going to say big, and I want you all to yell out ass, okay? Okay. So we are here for big ass 3. That's beautiful, which as it is in its self-explanatorily 3rd year, we can now refer to as an annual event without cringing, as though we're about to be hit by the tall poppy paddle. You're all familiar with the tall poppy paddle. It's about the size and shape of a table tennis bat, and it's used to whack people who are getting a bit uppity in Australia. That's the tall poppy. For a perfect image, actually, for a perfect image of the tall poppy scissors, you should buy a copy of Bobby N's Digested number 6. It's in there. So, the 3rd of 3 big asses. And last year, we even had a skinny ass launch as part of the Melbourne Writers Festival in August. And Bruce and I were down at the Melbourne Writers Festival yesterday because we do a lot of hobnobbing these days. Hobnobbing, we were nobbing with the hobs. Yeah, all right, okay. And they were really keen to have another skinny ass. And Bruce and I had some suggestions about how they might go about that, and then we realised what they were actually talking about. So, now listen. Exactly and precisely a month ago, I strolled the streets of Angoulême, France, in the cold and the rain, while you lot were all here getting baked in 35-degree heat. To some of you, this name, Angoulême, may just suggest another small French town where they eat too much cheese. And this is the case. But Angoulême is also the town 2 hours south of Paris by the TGV, a train that moves so fast that your ears pop, doesn't it, Dan? It does. Severe ear. And for the last 40 years, on the first, actually, is it the first weekend of February? I think it is. The first weekend of February, this town, Angoulême, has hosted Le Festival International de la Bande Dessinée, which is, in Australian English, is a comic comics meetup. But what a comics meetup? This is the biggest comics meetup in Europe. There are 200,000 people turn up to this comics meetup. And to go there, as I did, with Daniel Haywood, he's right here. Hi Dan. Hey, I'm good. To go there is to witness comics on a different scale. A sort of a cosmic scale. It's sort of overwhelming to swim there in the vast sea of comics. This town, Angoulême, gets taken over, but I would also say that France gets taken over. So on the dailies, on the French daily newspapers, Angoulême is stamped in big letters on those papers. There was one newspaper, Libération. All of the illustrations in that particular issue, there were no photographs. They were all drawings by great comic makers in France. It was insane. It was insane. So my point is, I'm not just, showing off here. I was in Angoulême, la 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 la. No, I want to make a point, and that is that this Angoulême festival, it's the biggest festival in France. Well, that's good. And it's the jewel in the crown of an industry which pumps out 500, 600 books a year. And it keeps hundreds or thousands of cartoonists in work every year. It makes millions of francs. No, what are they called now? Euros. So it's got this, it is the celebration of French comics culture, particularly French, international, but particularly French. So it's got this French cultural pride behind it. The Angoulême Comics Festival has a big head. However, that does not trouble us here, not in the slightest, because we have a big arse. And to our great delight, that arse is growing. Yes. The size of this arse, ladies and gentlemen, is important. Of course, as always. Because it is growing. So every year, in preparation for this speech, I put on the suit and I stuff the comics in question down my pants and I prance around the living room and I ask my wife, I say, does my arse look big in this? And she says, yes, darling, yes, it does look big. I said, but is it bigger than last year? And she says, yes, Bernard, it is. And I say, great! And she said, Bernard, can you please now take the comics out of your pants? Because it's a bit strange. Pardon? It's in the way, that's right. But it is now time to turn away from the arse-based discussion and move more towards a cultured, if you like, French, intellectual way of talking about comics, because, my friends, we know that comics is an art form of time. The space between one panel and the next, that gutter, means that we readers are continually adjusting our notion of the time that's going on in the story. The information on the new panel lets us calculate, if you like, what is going on in that story, how time is elapsing. And in fact, Joe Waite, who's a great Melbourne cartoonist, once convinced me that the way that German people refer to comics is Zeitkunst, time art. So we were in Berlin just recently, and I pallied up to this Berlin cartoonist. And I said, "How's your Zeitkunst?" And she looked at me kind of strange, and I sort of backed away a little bit, and I said, "How's the pictures, words together, Zeitkunst?" And she said, "Well, actually, because comics." So it's a little embarrassing. But they are an art form of time. And that time is, of course, inside the comic book, but it is also, and that's what we're celebrating here today, it is outside that book. It is the time that the cartoonist brings to the book, to do the drawings, to make to plan the book, to design the book. And so now, and sorry, and we know, or some of you know, that art is a brutal one to master. Brutal. Yeah, thank you. Brutal. Fingers in the air. And so it's important that now here today, with so many books here and so many artists here standing in front of us, that we recognise the brutality. No, we don't recognise the brutality. That we recognise the work that has been done. So my plan is, I'm going to read out the books and the people behind them, and we, the readers, which of course includes the cartoonists who have not worked on a particular book, will yell to that person, who will get them to put their hand up, that's right, so we can see who they are. We'll yell to them, huzzah! Huzzah! Which is a tribal scream of pleasure at the thought that we will soon be consuming their book visually. So, are you ready? Let's just practice a huzzah. 1, 2, 3. Huzzah! Beautiful! Huzzah! Thank you. Yeah, bit of a follow-up echo huzzah down there. Yeah. That's all right. You've got a time lag. Yeah, it's a bit of a time. Yeah. So, the first one, the first book. No, not yet. Is Dillon? Would you stand up? Just stand up, just a little bit. Dillon Naylor's book, A Brush with Darkness. 1, 2, 3. Huzzah! We love you. We love you and your work. Thank you. So we're going to move on, and this is going to be a little bit like a nomination ceremony or something like an award ceremony, but they're all nominations. But you know, the nominations are always better than the award anyway, but I'll get to that later. Okay. Matt Emery, I saw his red top. There he is! Matt Emery behind those glasses there. Matt Emery, his book is called Adversaries, and we're going to say 1, 2, 3. Because we love him. Jason Franks, where are you, Jason? In your black. There you are, more sunglasses down there. Jason Franks, this is one book by him, Lady McBLACK. There's a continuity of work. So we're going back and we are, I mean, you know, Pitica Press is reprinting works, older works. And that's what's happening with Dillon's book as well. There's all these posters and artwork from a long time. In France, they call this patrimony. In Australia, we just call it old stuff. So, for on the old stuff, I'd like Peter Foster. Where are you, Peter Foster? Peter Foster! Oh, there he is. And we've got Ballantine, the flaw in the jewel this time, and let's say 1, 2, 3. Cover that man in comics reading love. Frank Candiloro. There he is. Stick your hand in the air like you really care. That's beautiful, beautiful. Let us thank him and love him for Bud and Lou Part 1. There's more to come. 1, 2, 3. Let's... Velocity. Can people who contributed to Velocity... There's nobody here. You'll say something about that later. Okay, all right. What about Jesca? She is... You stand up. Oh, good. Excellent. Let us say to her for Awakenings number 2, implying an Awakenings number 1. Can you get them both today? Not really. Maybe. What sort of sweet deal would we need to cut?
Come to me later.
Come to her later. Okay, on the 1, 2, 3. Jesca. Okay, now, where... Andre. James Andre, can you just stand up and just take a bit of the love for Yuck? And who contributed to Yuck? Put your hand up, there's some Yucks. There's quite a bit of Yuck in the air. Very nice. If you've got a Yuck next to you, just give him a little nudge in the ribs. Hooray for more Yuck in our lives. Well, Yuck number 7. Number 7. Mr. Tim Malloy. There he is. It's very, very tempting to try and pronounce sort of a Cthulhu, Shub Niggurath, Ia Fatangan, Mr. Pronounceable Adventures, Unpronounceable Adventures, not pronounceable, a conundrum wrapped within an enigma. Let's give him a huzzah for that, and for other surrealisms that creep from out between the covers of his multiple books and edge their way into our bedclothes and make us sleep uneasy at night. Tim Malloy, 1, 2, 3. Huzzah! Marika Gooding, where are you, Marika? I haven't met you yet. Oh, there you are. Marika Gooding. I saw some samples of this book. It's amazing. I haven't seen the book yet, but this is an amazing book, Strange Behaviour, and she's published it herself, and it's auto-bio, but with an amazing twist. Let's give it a huzzah. Let's give her a big huzzah. 1, 2, 3, Marika. Huzzah! Oh, there's a bit of gutturalness there. That's just good. It's good. Meet me later. Great. Bobby N, who's got some things to say. I read the transcript of his book last night and immediately kicked me onto the drawing table. Stand up, Bobby N. Everybody, put your hand in the air like this, and sort of make tentacles out of your fingers and move them towards him. 1, 2, 3. Huzzah! It all makes sense when you read the book. Brendan Halliday, Brendan. There he is, there you are, sorry, you're blocked. Brendan Halliday doing, stand up, please stand up, please. Oh, thank you. Graphic slash narrative of book, a bit of auto-bio, a bit of straight storytelling, a bit of silent storytelling, I love it. Stand up again, give him 1, 2, 3, huzzah, 1, 2, 3! Oh, they're getting more forceful and more guttural. It's Ben Michael Byrne, you're down there. He's the craziness of the madness on the roads in Cranbourne continues. There's more. Quick huzzah before this escalates. 1, 2, 3. Cranbourne number 6. Another time. Man, they're climbing up. Alicia. Hello, Alicia. You are standing. Nice. And you're standing a bit higher. 7, number 2. What will happen when you get to 7, number 7?
It becomes a compilation.
Perfect. 1, 2, 3. And the final book that we're going to huzzah is Frank's again. Where are you, Frank? There you are, Frank. The Franks. And do we have some of the artists from Ungenre? Yes, a Bruce Mutard. Maybe. That's about it here. Let's spread. If you're over here, give Bruce Mutard a bit of love with your huzzah. If you're over there, pour Jason Franks. Pour his pants. P-A-W. Pour. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Huzzah! We have huzzah these books now. They are officially launched. Even if you've got one, they now have a new little sheen to them, a little shine, a little umbilical cord is hanging off it. You know, the umbilical cord has been severed. These books are out. So now your job is to buy a copy of every one of them, multiple copies probably, and get your book signed. Now in France, in Angoulême, I don't know if I mentioned, but I've been there, they call this the dédicace. Your book is dedicated. Of course, we don't call it the dédicace. Here at the Big Arse Comic Launch, we call it dédicace. Which doesn't mean that the author sits on your book, because that'd be a bit awful. But it is a dédicace rather than a dédicace. Because this is the Big Arse. Okay, that's really it. One last thought. In Angoulême, on the last night of the festival, there's an award ceremony. Of course there is. Music, the actual awards. And the Oscars, the sort of statuettes that are handed out, are in fact called fauves, the wild one. And they're based on this design by Louis Trondheim, the great cartoonist, little cat. So I suggest next year, Big Arse 4, that we begin the tradition of awarding awards, but that the trophy should be shaped like a pair of big curvy bum cheeks in gold. And to receive such an award would of course be referred to as getting the arse. So until next year, and the giving and getting of arses, and more importantly, until we see the incredible new crop of comics that we are gifted with, I bid you a fond adieu and say buy these bande dessinées, these comics. Become part of the tradition, the Angoulême, if you like, that is being created now. Create that tradition as the artists are doing, the cartoonists are doing, and that we, the readers, are doing. We're making it here and we're making it now. And in 37 years' time, at Big Arse 40, you'll be able to say, I was there at the Big Arse 3, and you'll be able to show me your signed or dedicast copies of those comics to prove it. 2, 3. Huzzah! Yeah. Woo!
Well. That's a hard act to follow, so if you just excuse me a minute. So, okay, there are a few little announcements I need to make just at the end of this. Just firstly, velocity. You may have noticed that the publicity advertised this comic, this anthology in fact, which is a combination of South African and New Zealand and Australian comics, will be here. It did not make it. We always assume that when we put 15 or so books together in one go, that one will fall at the last hurdle and not make a line. That was the one. So apologies are sent from Neville Howard, who is probably not here today because he would have had his limbs torn from him. So he's probably smart. That's good. Now the other thing is, I just want to give a special shout out to all the artists here who have done so much to get these books here. But more importantly, I think we should give a special shout out to everyone who has shown up today and who are buying the books. So this is a special huzzah. Now you idiots over there signing books, right? You are going to give a big huzzah to them who are buying your books, okay? You can't just sign the books, you've got to give them a huzzah back. They've given you all that love. You know, you're just covered in huzzaring and spittle and all that stuff, so it's got to go back the other way. You know, it's payback time. So, 1, 2, 3, we're going to huzzah the crowd, okay? Right? And you too, Bernard. Okay. 1, 2, 3, huzzah! Okay, I had the advantage of the microphone, that's good. Okay. Now, the other thing I wanted to just mention, there's a couple more things. Just want to give a special shout out to people who have come from far and wide to be here today. Got people from Adelaide, Perth, Sydney, New Zealand, interstate and all around the state as well. And I think that's a pretty special thing. We must have something going here, if indeed people come from so far and wide here to be a big arse. So you can only imagine, like in 40 years' time, people from around the world will be coming. On the level will be dust. Dust. It will not exist anymore because Big Arse in Melbourne will replace Ongley. It will be 5 days long. We'll be launching 500 books from around the world with 4,000 exhibitors. And, you know, you remember, I don't know if any of you went to White Nights last weekend, you know, 300,000 people there. That is, you know, that's just nothing compared to what Big Arse will be in 40 years' time. I really think that. I really do. I will eat my jocks if that doesn't happen. I'll be dead too, but that's okay. I'll do it metaphorically. Now, last thing is, Bernard mentioned skinny arse. Now, you know that was modelled on me, okay? I'm not the typical comic book guy. I don't have a big arse. That's fine. Skinny Arse 2 is happening. We'll be at the Melbourne Writers Festival this year. We have confirmation. What that means is, if you have a book that you want to launch on the big stage of Skinny Arse, then you have to come and talk to me. You'll have to come to my hotel room later on and we'll talk about it, okay? So, well, I've got to get my perks somewhere. Come on. So, no, that's serious, that's real McCoy. So, if you do want to think about it, this is late August. A book that can come out in late August. If you can do it, come and talk to me. And I mean, if you can do it, come and see me, okay? And maybe come. Sorry. Okay, all right, that's enough. Now, there is a little bit of a kick-on thing to this event at the end of the day. This closes up around about 6, and I think we're going to go and get naked for Satan, okay? There is a place called Naked for Satan, and I'm going to go and check it out and get naked for Satan. And I think you should come and join me. So if you want to do that, hang around. If you don't want to do that, then you're a bloody god bother and get the fuck out of here. That's enough. See you later.